Okay, so today we are talking about the over-the-top. We're here with co-founder of TPI, Dave Phillips, the best person in the world to talk about the body swing connection. And Dave, look, we know the over-the-top move for the majority of golfers, amateur golfers, who slice the golf ball, maybe pull the golf ball. It can be a bit of a problem.
Yes.
We want to talk about today some of the limitations or the physical things that can cause that.
Absolutely.
And then what golfers can learn to maybe work around the problem.
That's right. So we always look at this, we call it the body swing connection, right? So we're always looking for things that are going on in your body and your movement pattern that might cause you to do something in your golf swing. So we have a couple screens we look at. There's some things to do with the lower body. There's some things to do with your shoulder and your wrists, because these are what we call planing mechanisms. And you guys know that over the top is basically that dreaded, probably the biggest one that comes from that is the slice, right? So like you talk about a little bit, what to you is over the top?
Yeah, so
right?
Generally way we always look at it, we always like to get a down the line camera, drawing a plane line in, comes from the heel of the golf club underneath the trail elbow.
Yep.
And we're looking to see how that club swings down. And if it's above it,
Yep.
whether it's in a steep angle or even slightly, even if it's just shifted above it, we would class that as an over the top. So from there, there's lots of things you can do as a golfer to coordinate the club back on the golf ball. But ultimately that first part, that steepness, that over the top, is that knock-on effect, that chain reaction almost of either bad moves, but ultimately bad shots, which is often the slice.
That's right. So for the right-handed golfer, depending on the club face position, they could hit a pull.
Yep.
But if that face is open, they could hit the dreaded slice, which so many golfers have.
This is the interesting thing, because we talk a lot about the slice. We've got a system that does it, our Fix Your Slice system. I think a lot of golfers are actually confused that they've got the slice pattern.
Yes.
Because they hit it left and they hit it right.
Yes.
So they go, I'm just inconsistent.
Exactly.
No, you're very consistent because your club path is 7 degrees left.
That's right.
So all you're doing is you're just changing the face position. So there's a lot of consistency in the over the top, but we just need to understand it.
Absolutely. So it is a huge trait. Now, there are other things that can cause over the top, as you know. So there are a lot of players that get their club face in a very open position at the top. So that's when that club is kind of hanging down at the top, right?
Yeah.
So when that's open at the top of the backswing, generally the reaction is, well, I need to shut it. And that can cause over the top. But there are players that are in shut face positions, neutral face positions, and they still come over the top. So what we're really looking for is that body swing connection. So I want to take you through a couple of the tests that we do here at TPI to determine if your body's actually affecting it.
And
Right?
these guys can do this at home themselves.
Do it right now.
Absolutely,
Do it
you can
now.
do it with us right now. It's really not that hard. So the first one, follow along with me. We're just going to cross our arms across our chest like this right here. And I want you to keep your upper body perfectly still. And I want to see, can you separate your lower body from your upper body? All right, that's good. So you can see here with Peter, so notice how this is staying very still, and he can easily separate his lower body from his upper body. Now, if at home you can't do this, you may look like this, where it looks like you're glued together. That was actually pretty good.
We've seen some good ones.
We have seen some good
Years.
ones. So you see oftentimes, instead of this rotation where you can see my lower body rotating, you'll see this one, kind of hip hiking, or we call it the tail wagging the dog, or the dog wagging the tail, whatever it is. But the key is I don't want this upper body to move. I need that separation, and we'll explain why in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's look at another one. So another one would be shoulder range of motion. Now, in order to shallow the golf club, we like this right arm to kind of come more in front of us, specifically
Makes
that
sense.
right
That looks
elbow.
good. That looks like shallowing.
We're shallowing it. We want that right elbow more in front. But to do that, I need to check if you have any kind of shoulder restriction, right? So what I want you to do on this one is standing tall first. I want to see you rotate that arm, and you can see that's incredible rotation, right? So normally that would be equal to spine. Excuse me. This would be beyond spine, which is where you are. But some of you may get to right about here. So if you're in that position, then how are you going to get your elbow more in front of you, right? Because if that's all you had at the top of your backswing, the only thing you could really do would be, well, to get it out in front of me, I could go that way, and that would steepen it, right?
I'm going to tell you one thing. So we did TPI first in 2006. And as soon as I saw that one, I went, Colin Reed.
Yeah.
So a guy I taught, Colin Reed. I'm like, right, I'm going to go and do that test when I see him when I get back there, because we'd worked a lot of things. He couldn't get rid of his slice. This is the best thing for anyone watching this.
That's right.
If you've tried everything and it hasn't worked, this could be the video for you.
That's right.
So Colin Reed stands there and I go, right, get your arm up. I says, right, now move it like this. And he went, standing up. I went,
Right.
So he actually had to have surgery at some point, but that was it.
But
and I'm like, huh.
Exactly.
Now I can coach you.
And to your point, there's a lot of people that think, oh, well, they're athletic. I mean, I can show you some specimens that are like this, right? So what do you think their golf swing is going to be like if I want them to have more of an arm like this so that they can plane it and get it more in front of them? So that's a big one, right?
That's the first step. Next step is doing it in posture as well.
In posture is the next step. So what I'm looking for, the difference between standing, I want to see if he loses anything in posture. So in this case, you're actually equal to spine, but you were behind spine when standing. That could be the scapula getting involved, right? So when we move forward, if there's any roundedness to my shoulders, that impinges this joint, that makes it harder. So we always test standing, and then we test in golf posture. And you might not come over the top if they're different. It just gives me that little cue that, okay, there's something going on there that we might need to watch, right? Perfect. So the other one would be other great planing mechanisms are things like the wrists, right? So one of the things that we like to see is we have flexion and extension in the golf swing. So down and up, right? And we want to see, can someone do that? We also have pronation, supination, right? And then we have hinging up and down, ulnar and radial deviation, yep? And up and down. So a lot of the wrist mechanisms, wrists are great for changing the path and the plane of the club. So there are a lot of players that have unique positions. There's some players that take it back very vertical. There's some players that take it more around them. But they get the club back on plane by how much they flex or extend or whatever it might be, their wrist. So for instance, if I've got somebody that can't do this, right, then I can't get them, because think about it, as this bends back, we call this right wrist bend, it actually rotates the elbow down, and that's what gets me in that nice planing mechanism where this supports the club. If I can only do this, say I've lost this, then usually what happens is it's like pulling the lawnmower. They take this back, and they look like this at the top of their backswing, the face is open, and they're in a poor position. It's difficult for them from there. They don't have range. They don't have range in this. How are they gonna shallow the club? So those people tend to be steep.
Was I okay there with what I did?
You were okay.
No, yours is
just passed.
You just passed. Now, why are those so important? So the first one we did, that separation. If you think about what great players do, and we look at all the data we have here with the 3D systems and the force and pressure, the first thing they do is, as the club starts to go back, they're already separating their lower body. And if you watch, if I take this club back to the top of my backswing, and I just separate my lower body, notice how the club's already shallowing. I'm not moving my arms. I'm disassociating my lower body. I'm giving it a head start. So if I get that lower body to move and be dynamic, that actually creates this shallowing of the club. But if you can't do that, if you're that person that's stuck together, then generally when you go to the top of your backswing, everything is stuck together, it turns together, and now I'm steep or over the top, right?
I think the great thing about this is that how many golfers are going to be working at trying to fix their over the top, and they may have a restriction there, and they've been trying to fix this for years and never had maybe the knowledge or just the access to go, oh, actually, let me just test this. This is why this video is so important.
It is. And by the way, if you do have this, say you have great shoulder limitation, poor wrist limitation, it doesn't mean you're over the top forever. We can always put the club in a different position. Even over the toppers. One of the best lessons I ever learned, there's a great instructor in the US called Jim Hardy, who did the One Plane Golf Swing, or Plain Truth for Golfers. And Jim was an incredible instructor, still is today, a mentor of mine. And when I asked Jim about this, he says, well, if you've got somebody who's steep and over the top, one of the easiest ways to actually fix them is bend them over a little bit more and just let their arms as deep as possible.
But I always use Bobby Jones as a great example.
Yes.
So Bobby Jones would whip the club well around his body.
Yeah.
Club would be pointing over here. Now, relative to his backswing, he would swing over the top.
Yes.
So he's over the top relative to his backswing, but relative to the plane, and which is what is then going to hit the golf ball, he's actually still able to play draw. He's actually still getting that club path out to the right. So I think it's a very valid point, that don't automatically think that you have to be on plane in the backswing. But
That's right.
I'm sure we're going to get into that in a moment.
So the reason why we're saying this is we do these physical tests to understand if you have a body swing connection. we know that your body is affecting your golf swing. As instructors, what we do is we go, okay, can I change the body, number one? Should I change the body? Maybe they're a great player and they're very consistent with their strike. So it gives us options. If I want to change the body, that might be physical therapy, it might be strength training, it might be some mobility work, which, as you know, a great physical therapist can help you tremendously and get you moving better right away.
Definitely worth looking at.
It's definitely worth looking at. So if that is the case, you can work on that. But if you're one of those players that's like, you know what, I've got a physical injury, this is all I've got. Well, then the best move is to put the club in a position that doesn't get you coming steep and over the top.
So it'd be great to talk around then how we'd work around that. So let's go into a little bit more detail of what you would do if somebody's struggling with.
Let's go with the first one. Let's go with the pelvic
separation.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Imagine that you're steep on the downswing. So both things move together. So you move together. There's the steepening to the shaft, right? So the first thing I've got here in my instructor brain is I got this shaft coming steep. I need to figure out a way to shallow it, right? But his separation isn't that good. So one of my favorite drills for this is a step change of direction drill. And that's a drill that you'll see a lot of long drivers do because it's a great way to sequence your golf swing. You've done it before. Feet together like so, keeping the club out in front. The minute the club moves past my feet, I step. So as the upper body is winding back, the lower body already went. That gives me the sensation that I need. That gives me the feeling of, so you want the lower body to get a head start. So this is no different than a race. And we use this in our 3D system where we look at the lower body, the trunk, the arm, and the club. It's a 4-horse race. When you're over the top, the trunk horse is beating the lower body horse. So what we usually see is 2 goes first, which usually takes 3 and 4, and then the lower body horse comes in last. So we've got to get the lower body horse a head start. And the other one is, I know we've got a hula hoop around here somewhere. I'd like to show you that one because I really like this one because it's a great visual for the
This is
people
what Piers does in his spare time.
There you go.
Better decorated hula hoop than that.
Jeez, where'd you go to New Orleans or something for this one? Okay, so basically, if you think about this, this could be a perception issue with golfers, is that in golf, we're told you need to turn. You got to rotate faster. And in our mind, we think of rotation as this, right? But we forget the fact that we're actually tilted over. So a lot of times if I'm standing tall and I simply put this hula hoop on and I rotate, this would be rotation. But in the golf swing, I'm not. I'm tilted on an angle. So I'm actually like this. My spine is tilted over. So rotation is this, and it's this, right? It's this, and it's this. If you are one of those players that everything's stuck together, you're this. So what's happening is you're rotating, but you're not rotating on a tilted plane. You've flattened out your plane again. So the more you can think about, I need to feel like I'm actually rotating from a tilted over position, which creates something we call side bend, and you're gonna feel like you're gonna hit the ball way to the right. And the more you can do that for an over-the-topper, it gives you the sensation, right? Yeah. So I want you to do that now that I've showed you this with a hula hoop. Go to the top of your backswing. Good. Now, if you were just to rotate from there, you'd be steep, right? Yep. So what I want you to do is feel like you're rotating from tilted, and you'll notice the side bend. You'll notice the lower body's gone first, and it feels like you're going to hit it out to right field, right?
Out there, yeah, absolutely.
So that is kind of the sensation that we want you to have. And a lot of times I'll put down alignment rods or I'll put down clubs. I'll put a club out here to give you that direction in the corner of your eye. And a lot of times I like to put another one here at, like, if this was 6 o'clock, like a 4:30 position, I want you to line up straight, but I want you to pretend you're going to hit it to that white building.
So it's almost like I always talk about this a lot as well. This is anything from 15 to 20 degrees right.
Yes.
No one is ever going to hit a shot that will say on that full swing monitor there,
it will
20
never
degrees
do that.
right. It's
No,
never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
But the feel, as you say, is, as you say, low body goes, club is slotted there, it looks like it's over the one on the ground, and as you say, then it just continues to swing out on that line. And that visual of that hula hoop is great, because I think a lot of people, whenever we use that and talk about it, they think, oh, okay, this makes sense, I get it, I get it. I'm like, okay, yeah.
You're twisting early, and I need you to have a little bit of lateral.
More lateral.
Right? So that's what we're trying to get, that lateral, so that the club will shallow, not that twist.
There's so many golfers who see the tall players and they see how open they are with their body and they go, okay, they're open. That means they've rotated to get there. So I've got to do this.
Exactly.
And we even have golfers who come for us on the lesson tee and say, what you're doing, I'm slicing, I'm swinging over the top. What are you thinking about? I want to rotate my hips more. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you just get more petrol on the fire?
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Like another one, go to the top of your backswing. If the other one you see when they're stuck together is the chin and the shoulder stay tucked together and they spin. That steepens the shaft. So another one I like the sensation of is keep the head and move the shoulder away from the chin. Right? We often call this a pump drill. So just pumping that down gives you that sensation of look how much the lower body is gone and you didn't even think about it, and the club comes down more in front. So anything we can do to get you feeling like you're hitting it out to the right. Now what happens when you do some of these drills is a lot of times they will start hitting it to the right and it'll go more right.
Yeah.
But the thing is remember, you've been spinning and holding the face. Right? That's what
building in a compensation.
Exactly. So now all of a sudden I teach you to swing out to the right and you leave that face open. It's going right, more right. So I want the direction of the ball to start right first. I don't care if it goes more right. Once I get it started right, then we start to train the wrist to release. Yeah. And now you start to release the face and all of a sudden you think you're hitting it over there, the ball will go straight. Yeah. With maybe even a little draw, right? Yeah. So like when in the instruction, you want a point of intention, 1 point, and you want to think about that one thing. It's very easy looking at all the great instruction that we all do that you start thinking about 8 things. Well, I got to bump and I got to do this. No, you want 1 point of intention, right? And once you can lock onto it, that will help you a lot.
It's the thing that's going to give you the most bang for your buck, isn't it?
Exactly. So these have all been really about that separation, right? So let's move to the next one now where we talk a little bit more about that 90-90 and why that's so important, right? Okay. So go to the top of your backswing. So you'll see here what he's done so well is look at this position of his arm, which was very similar to the 90-90 test that we did, right? And you can also notice that he's added right wrist bend. This gets the left wrist flat. The club is in a beautiful position. It's supported by the arms. So now this can move down in front of the hip, and that puts us in that shallowing position, which is fantastic. So the danger here is, now demonstrate the bad, is you can't do that. You can't even do this. So now we get this across the line or open face position with the elbow out here. So now the problem is, how do I get this in front of me? You either stand up, which causes early extension, right? So sometimes you'll get players that are steep in transition, and then they add another problem. They're steep and they're like, well, I don't want to hit it over there, so I'll stand up. And at the last minute, they have early extension, right?
Body will find a way, won't it? And
it will.
If you're good enough, yes.
I think with somebody like this, Dave, as well, who maybe, let's say somebody's just done this and they're going, wow, I never realized I was so limited. What about length of backswing from this as well?
No, you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, if I was going to solve this issue and I only had this, I don't want this to get deep and further behind me or lift. What I would want is width, right? So what I would do, I would try and give them something. So say I've only got this, we may need to bend this arm to give them a lever. We may need to do something with their grip and make it stronger so I can get the face in a different position. But what I'd want to do is, if I had this limitation, I'd want to keep the club as far away from me as I could so that it gave me a chance to get that elbow down in front of me. If I got it behind me, then usually I have to spin to get it out in front of me. We know that these ailments generally cause this over the top, which can lead to a slice, but they can actually, you can hit a perfect baby slice and be the greatest player of all time. I mean, we see this all the time. In an effort to get better, we look at our idols, we look at swings we love, and we try and copy them. We try and emulate them. But if you can't physically do what they do, you'll never get there and you'll torture yourself. So you really want to be the best you personally can be, but you need the coaching and the people around you to realize that, hey, I can show you a player that makes millions of dollars or a club champion. I mean, how many times have we been at a country club and the club champion's got some goofy looking golf swing and he wins, his name's on the wall every year, right? It's just, it hasn't affected their ability to perform. They know what their shot shape is. They're consistent at it. And here's the funny thing. limitations can sometimes be an advantage. If I can do everything, then I can try everything. If I'm limited, I can only stay in this lane. But where people that are limited get in trouble is they try and go outside their lane because no one's taught them what lane they should be in. Right? Yes.
That's the best players know. With the help of coaching, obviously, but they still know. They still know.
They do. And now the other one would be wrist, right? We talked a little bit about wrist and wrist set. I love the right wrist to bend. And part of the reason I like the right wrist to bend is it rotates the elbow down. So if I have some kind of limitation, but I can get right wrist bend, it tends to set the club in a better position and put the elbow in a better position. But even if I've got this elbow constraint, if I can maximize my right wrist bend, I'm basically shallowing the shaft, aren't I, with my wrist?
If we look at where the club goes, I'll do that with the club so you can see it. So literally from here, as we talk about, if I just from here just got that right wrist and bent it back like that, it's going to be a lot easier to do that. As soon as I straighten out that wrist, it's going to look a lot more like that.
What's a good amount for the guys at home when they're looking at the amount of wrist? Or is it just if they're just only limited here, they're going to feel it?
Yeah, you usually feel it. Some players have a difference. I mean, obviously, you know, I like to get it as much as I can.
That's good, what you're doing now. That's actually pretty decent.
That's good, but there are players that can only get to there. There is a certain amount that you might have, and some players that are restricted here, sometimes we see they have great range on the other side. So we might actually change their grip position slightly so that they can use their lead wrist or their trail wrist more, depending on which one's causing the issue. But they are planing mechanisms. So what the best players in the world do is, regardless of whether their backswing is steep or flat, and they may steepen it if it's too flat, most players will shallow early so that they can steepen late. And that's what we see really with the best ball strikers in the world.
Great information there, Dave. Hopefully you guys have been up there and testing these as well. For more information, Dave, in terms of if the viewers are watching this going, look, I really would love to understand my own body, where should they go to?
Well, obviously, mytpi.com is our website. We've got about 30,000 TPI certified experts around the world, including these guys. And basically, if you put your postal code or zip code in there, it'll show you someone in your area that could take you through a movement screen. So I think one of the best things you can do is be physically assessed so that at least you know if your body's causing your issues.
Yeah, brilliant. We'll put the links down in the description, and hopefully you can get yourself assessed and understand exactly what you need. Thanks, Dave.
You got it.